Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Ariel Tienko.
And I'm Summers McKay.
And we are part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help us all get focused on what's going right in the world.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, winterize your houseplants-worthy podcast. Today is Tuesday, the 18th of January, 2022. Ariel, it's cold.
Oh yeah, you're telling me. It is pretty gray outside. How about for you?
So it's beautiful and blue and crisp, but it's really, really cold. Over the weekend, we had taken Brennan to soccer practice and it was too cold to play. She turned around and just ran back to the car. Can't blame her. And I'm trying very hard to be put on a sweater and some fuzzy slippers type as opposed to turn up the heat and really try to reduce our overall use of heat in the house because I work from home. My home is not filled with people during the day. It's just me and my tromp of animals, but I'm so cold.
Yeah, I can relate. We're also trying to lower our heat use. We do have solar panels, but the heat is still on gas. So we want to conserve energy because it's good for the planet and also good for our wallets.
Exactly. For our wallets, let's be honest, we all need to save a little bit, save for a wintry day. But yeah, a lot of the world a lot of the northern hemisphere is pretty cold at this precise moment. Everyone's sort of feeling that wintry thing. It's amazing. I think I mentioned we've had like 50,000 people read the article about winterizing your bird feeders. But, people are coming to the Optimist Daily for like a lot of different sort of winter mindsets, winter activities, things to do during these shorter days. We're through with the holidays. January to February is that like dark days of winter suspended time. But then we start to turn the corner around mid-February. So I feel like this next month, this is when people get seasonal depression and we need to give them some reasons to feel elevated and inspired. So maybe some good hobbies or activities.
Yeah.
Good hobbies or activities that you yourself do.
I think everyone has already heard about my painting, but I have actually been delving into books again. And I just finished reading Anne Frank's diary. I know that it's already on people's syllabi for school, but it never was on mine. So I thought, hey, I live in Amsterdam and it's cold and there's not much to do. So I might as well curl up with a book. And it was really quite eye-opening because we think that we're in lockdowns now, and we are, and I'm not going to diminish how difficult that is. But yeah, that was a completely different type of confinement, and it really makes me thankful for the things that we can do now. I mean, we still have access to Wordle, and can still call our friends, and we're not hiding. But Anne actually mentions that she did some jigsaws, or someone in the secret attic did some jigsawing, and so that's why I picked my article for the day.
So I want you to get to your article, but I've always loved wherever I travel to reading a book about that place. And I think that that's such a valuable way to sort of expand your experience. Reading either fiction or biographies about people from a place really can help you anchor into that space and the storytelling and the timeline. So I think that's wonderful. And obviously, most people at some point have been exposed to Anne Frank, but reading it again as an adult while living in Amsterdam, I think that's just super cool. Let's transition to your story.
My headline reads, Jigsawing, the hobby that's great for your brain. So we all know that we live in a pretty digital society, but it's important to take those opportunities to unplug and focus on your mental and physical well-being. So if you're looking for a new hobby to keep you occupied during the colder months or when the days are short, I would recommend jigsawing, and I think everyone else will too after they read this article. The first benefit that's listed here, there are 6 of them, is simultaneous exercise for your left and right brain. So in general, the left hemisphere of our brain is responsible for linear thinking and logic, and the right side is responsible for more creative and intuitive tendencies. A study from Senesco Health has actually shown that neurotransmitters are being fired all over our brain when we're completing a jigsaw. So that means both of our left and right sides are getting a workout from fitting all those pieces together.
So just to clarify, and I think this might be one of those things that's like a European experience versus an American. Jigsaws are just like jigsaw puzzles, like traditional 1,000-piece puzzles or 100-piece puzzles, right? The little pieces that you're putting together. As you were saying jigsaw, I realized that a lot of Americans don't necessarily use that to describe puzzles.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, jigsaw puzzles, but the word jigsaw doesn't really stand alone.
Oh, it doesn't. My dad used to really be into jigsaws as well. And I'm from Canada, and they just said jigsaw, but I guess Canadians do have a mix of both British and
Of British and
American.
yeah.
Well, for further reference, I'll just be using jigsaw, and I mean the puzzles. So the second benefit is that they relieve stress through entering a meditative state. Obviously, your mind is being stimulated while you're working through a puzzle, but it's also more relaxed because our brains kind of shut off from the rest of the world. We don't think about our to-do list or anything. It's just the puzzle. When we enter this meditative state, it makes our heart rate and blood pressure decrease and leaves us in a calmer state of mind than before. I mean, I can vouch for this, but I also have been really frustrated by a puzzle. So I guess if you're really good at it, it'll make your blood pressure decrease. So I guess start at an appropriate level. The third benefit is spending quality family time. Jigsaw puzzles are the perfect activity to do in a group. You can get everyone in the family involved. You don't even have to ask people. You can just put it in a common area and start doing it, and maybe that will inspire collaboration. So if you think your relationships within the home are in need of some more bonding time, then a puzzle could be a really good option for you.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth benefit is work on short-term memory. Through puzzling, brain cell connections are strengthened, and that speeds up mental functioning and improves memory.
I think that maybe goes back to getting your brain into that meditative state, right? And so short-term memory is improved when you find your way into a meditative state more frequently. Mm-hmm. And for those people who do not have time or space to meditate, I know we talk to people all the time who are like, yeah, meditation is just not my bag. Puzzling, in fact, can have some of those neurological benefits. So I love the idea that just giving yourself 10 minutes of puzzle pieces can improve your short-term memory. What else is it good for?
When you're assembling a jigsaw, each individual piece needs to be assessed and then placed into the bigger picture of spatial organization, and that improves our spatial reasoning on the whole. So that's good for operating vehicles, reading maps, replicating dance moves if you're into TikTok. And then the last benefit is decreased risk of neurological diseases. Maybe people would have already assumed this, but using your brain to figure out where the pieces go in a puzzle leads to a decreased risk of Alzheimer's. That's kind of common amongst all of these puzzling or Sudoku, crossword, stuff like that. Most of these activities lead to a decreased risk of Alzheimer's. So yeah, those are all the benefits of working through a puzzle.
I love puzzles. And actually, a while ago, I took a Christmas picture of one of my cats that I posted on a cat Facebook group. How does this always come back to me being a crazy cat lady? But anyway, it was this beautiful picture, and somebody emailed me and asked if they could turn it into a puzzle as a gift for their child.
What?
Yeah, because you can print your own puzzles. There are places that you can send like pictures that are important to your family, and you can make puzzles out of them. So I think that, if you have puzzles or you want to buy one, you can also like make your own puzzle, which I think is really fun. And then you also mentioned there are lots of puzzling apps. So if you don't have one physically, you can use a free puzzling app and actually have that same process. One of my daughter's learning apps actually has her do puzzles on the app. So there are a lot of ways to be doing these jigsaw puzzles. All right, well, other things that are good for your brain and good for your body during the winter include fresh produce. But fresh produce during the winter can be hard to come by and can spoil easily because it has to be brought in from places that are not nearly as cold as the one that you're in, unless they're grown in Kristy's, aeroponic garden. But for the most part, a lot of stuff gets trucked around the world because it is hard to grow locally. My headline addresses not only the opportunity of preserving food for longer, but also a greener way to do it. Edible cellulose coating prevents fresh produce from spoiling rapidly. The goal for many supermarkets is removing plastic packaging from fruit and vegetables, knowing that this can reduce a significant amount of plastic waste. But food that tends to spoil rapidly once ripe, like a banana, you'll be faced with another problem: food waste. I know that we struggle with food waste in this house. I think I read this meme that every toddler by the age of 3 has taken precisely 2 bites of 10,000 bananas, which is sort of what happens around here, right? A bite of this, a bite of that. But swapping plastic packaging for a sustainable edible coating is an alternative. In an effort to find a solution to this conundrum, scientists in Switzerland have developed an invisible edible plant-based coating that can help fresh produce last longer, all while taking plastic packaging out of the equation. A team of researchers from Swiss Federal Laboratories for Material Sciences and Technology, the acronym is EMPA, have created coating by using pomace, which is a pulpy residue left over from the blending of fruits and vegetables for juice. So it's existing food waste. The mash would normally just end up in the bin, but they have developed a process where they can extract the cellulose that is naturally contained in these vegetables that cannot otherwise be sold. That's a quote from Gustav Nystrom, head of the Cellulose and Wood Materials Lab at EMPA. And then by spraying cellulose onto produce like cucumbers or bananas, it creates an additional layer of protection, slowing down moisture loss and oxidation. Ariel, what is one piece of food in your house that always spoils?
Oh man, apples.
Yeah.
And it's because like we'll cut them up for smoothies and then put them in the fridge without any packaging or anything on them. And they just get all brown and weird. And I know that sometimes they're good to eat, so I'll still eat them, but they're not the best.
Yeah, no, I've gotten back in the habit of my Friday afternoon smoothie making of the fruit that was purchased the previous week. I make like frozen popsicles for Brennan because I'm just throwing away so much, and she loves popsicles, and I can throw some protein powder and some super greens in there. Anyway, back to the story at hand. The idea of this edible coating is to prevent produce from spoiling. It sounds familiar. Certainly we've covered it. We have Appeal Sciences based in Santa Barbara, which is one of our favorite companies, and they develop organic peels on the outside of the produce. EMPA's approach is perhaps simpler and also less likely to be expensive since it is made from food waste and only a small amount is needed on each fruit and vegetable. In lab tests, bananas sprayed with the protective layer lasted more than a week longer than they would have otherwise. So I always buy the greenest possible bananas. Day 1, she'll eat 2 bananas, and then she'll never eat another one until the end of the week. So it's hard to really know what produce to buy this child. And then I end up eating like 8 bananas because I don't want them to go to waste, or I make them into smoothies. Nonetheless, I can see this solution being highly valuable to parents everywhere, as well as childless people
who like produce.
Yeah. So what else is on today's Optimist Daily?
Well, we have a few really great stories. Samaritan's pilot digital support project for suicide prevention at UK University. Windows giant Anderson gives solar Windows integration a $30 million boost. Day for Free initiative for homeless in Osaka reaches 10,000 guest milestone. And everything you need to know about California's new composting law.
Composting, my goal in 2022. California is also pledging to build the world's largest wildlife crossing. An ancient mathematical law is hidden in sand ripples. We've covered that one before. It continues to be a valuable and interesting solution and story. Switching one item in your diet could cut your carbon footprint by 48%. I have a sneaking suspicion I know what that item is, but we'll find out more. And graphene could replace rare metal needed for our touch screens. Quick note, when I was teaching at UCLA, an undergraduate class did a project on a foldable graphene screened phone. This was almost a decade ago, I guess. And my husband now has a foldable graphene screen phone. And I just think those students were pretty amazing. If you were part of the EDGE program at UCLA Anderson, I love you guys. Thank you for inspiring me. And everybody who listens to the Optimist Daily Update, thank you for inspiring us. We promise to continue to share positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. We promise to cover current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offer you the information needed most to chart new paths for all of us.
If you're not already, please consider becoming an emissary on theoptimistdaily.com. For just $5 a month, support reader-funded, independent journalism. Be part of the solution-changing consciousness and address our world's biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset. Let's keep the Optimist Daily free for all who need it, supported by those who can.
Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with more solutions.